Ezekiel 38. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armour, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend, and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou, and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God, It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, Son of man, prophesy, and say unto Gog, Thus saith the Lord God, In that day, when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel, as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days. And I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. Thus saith the Lord God, Art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years, that I would bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beast of the field, and all creeping things that creep upon the earth, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth, shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord God. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood. And I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain, and great hailstones, fire, and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself, and sanctify myself. And I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
After the great flood, Noah and his 3 sons repopulated the entire earth. Of course, their wives helped too, but seriously, we all descended from Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. So in a sense, we are all related. In Genesis chapter 10, the Bible lists the 70 original tribal groups. They are often referred to by the biblical scholars as the Table of Nations. To properly understand Ezekiel 38 and 39, we need to identify Gog, Magog, and its allies. The Bible is always the best source to understanding Bible prophecy. So it's from this Table of Nations that we first begin to learn the identity of Gog and Magog. Magog was one of the sons of Japheth. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus, we can find in Genesis chapter 10, verse 2. Most experts identify Magog as being associated with the ancient peoples known as the Scythians. Ancient historian Joseph Flavius clearly identifies Magog. Magog founded the Magogians, thus named after him, but who were, by the Greeks, called Scythians. Another reliable source comes from Herodotus, known as the father of history. Herodotus writes of the bizarre and savage practices of the descendants of Magog, known as the Scythians. They drank the blood of their first enemy they killed. They carried the heads of the victims to their chiefs. They scalped their enemies and used the scalps as napkins. They used the skins of their victims to cover their quivers. They drank from the skulls of their victims. They practiced blood brotherhood by drinking each other's blood mixed with wine. The Scythians bathed in the vapor from the heated hemp seeds, and when their king died, they sacrificed one of his concubines and several servants. After a year, they commemorated his death by sacrificing 50 servants and 50 horses. We know that the descendants of Magog by their Greek name, Scythians. In Greek mythology, the Scythians descended from Scyths, the youngest of the 3 sons of Hercules, from sleeping with a half-viper, half-woman. The name Scythian covers a number of nomadic tribes from the Russian steppes, a fertile area of the Ukraine north of the Black Sea. Other related tribes occupied the areas to the east of the Caspian Sea. The area encompassed by the Scythians extended from the mid-Volga to the northern Urals and beyond. They colonized Media, Parthia, Persia, Central Asia, and as far as the Chinese border. Arab writers confirm that in the Arabic language, their name for the Great Wall of China is called the Wall of Al-Magog, because the Great Wall was built to keep out the invading armies from Magog. Altogether, an area of about 2,000 square miles. So clearly this was the former Soviet Union or modern-day Russia. So who then is Gog? Gog is obviously the leader of Magog. He is the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. So Gog will be the leader of this Russian-led military horde. The Bible doesn't exactly tell us who Gog is. Chuck Missler, Bible teacher and an international authority on Russia and the Middle East, sheds light on the identity of Gog in his book, The Magog Invasion. He discovered a provocative reference to Gog in the book of Amos that has been widely overlooked. The traditional rendering of Amos chapter 7 verse 1 reads as follows: "Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, he informed grasshoppers in the beginning of the shooting up of the latter growth, and lo, it was the latter growth after the king's mowings." Our English Bible takes its translation from the Masoretic text, a 9th century source. However, an earlier translation of the Old Testament into Greek, known as the Septuagint, embodies a different rendering of Amos 7, verse 1. "Thus the Lord showed me, and behold, a swarm of locusts were coming, and behold, one of the young, devastating locusts was Gog, the king." Amos 7, verse 1. The identification of Gog as the king of the locusts would have profound implications. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 27 reveals that the locusts have no king, implying that the locusts of Amos 7 are not intended to be natural locusts, but an idiom for something else. We encounter a similar passage in Revelation chapter 9, where locusts there are described as having a king and are clearly demonic in nature. And out of the smoke locusts came down upon the earth and were given power like that of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any plant or tree, but only those people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were not given power to kill them, but only to torture them for 5 months, and the agony they suffered was like that of the sting of a scorpion when it strikes a man. During those days men will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will elude them. The locusts look like horses prepared for battle. On their heads they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like woman's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the thundering of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. They had tails and stings like scorpions, and in their tails they had the power to torment people for 5 months. They had as king over them the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek Apollyon. Revelation chapter 9 verses 3 through 11. Abaddon, a Hebrew word signifying ruin or destruction, from Job 31:12. Place of destruction, the abyss and realm of the dead, Job 26:6 and Proverbs 15:11. It occurs personified, Revelation 9 verse 11, as Abaddon, and is rendered in Greek by Apollyon, denoting the angel prince of hell, the minister of death, and author of havoc on earth. The Vulgate renders the Greek Apollyon by the Latin exterminatus, that is, destroyer. The identity of Abaddon with Asmodeus, the demon of impurity, has been asserted but not proved. In Job 26:6 and Proverbs 15:11, the word occurs in conjunction with Sheol. So now we have Gog, ruler of the land of Magog, Russia, king of the locusts, leader of the Russian-led invasion of Israel, associated with the angel prince of hell, Satan. So clearly, this Russian-led invasion is actually another attempt by Satan to thwart the plan of God. Okay, we have identified Gog and Magog, but who are the other members that make up this massive military alliance that will descend upon the tiny nation of Israel? This is what the sovereign Lord says: I am against you, O Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn you around, put hooks in your jaws, and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and